Hi, boys and girls. It's Mrs. Smiley. I hope you're having a great week, and I wanted to take a little time to read a story with you today. The story I wanted to read is called Curious George and the Puppies, and this is written by Margaret and H.A. Rise. And many of you have seen Curious George before. He's been in cartoons, little movies. You probably even have some Curious George stuffed animals in your house. I know that we do. We even have a little doggy here. This is Izzy. It goes with the story. So it's kind of fun if you have a little animal that matches your book. It's always fun to read to them or with them. But we know that Curious George has been in cartoons and movies, so he's kind of we know this is going to be a fiction story, right? Kind of just a fun story for us to enjoy. It's not going to be about real monkeys and real monkeys doing real things. This is kind of a fun story. And if you know much about this character, Curious George, well, curious means you want to learn. You're always wondering about things and you want to figure them out. So that gives us a clue right there. But another thing about Curious George is he always has a way of getting into trouble. So I don't know. We'll have to read this and see what kind of trouble he gets into this time, if he does get into any. But I hope you enjoy it. I think it's a fun story. Oh, I missed the title page. Here we go. Curious George and the Puppies. Oh, put your listening ears on. I'll get my reading glasses on. Here we go. This is George. George was a good little monkey and always very curious. One day, George went for a walk with his friend, the man with the yellow hat. I'm going to turn this just a little bit. There you go. When they sat down to rest, they noticed a tiny kitten peeking out from under a bush. The kitten looked frightened. What does frightened mean? If someone's frightened, it means they're scared, doesn't it? So the kitten looked frightened. Perhaps she's lost, said the man with the yellow hat. See her right there under the bush? Together, he and George searched the park for the little kitten's owner, but the kitten was all alone. This kitten is too young to be on her own, said the man. We should take her to the animal shelter where they can care for her and find her a home. So George and the kitten and the man with the yellow hat drove to the animal shelter. That was very nice. Here they are. They're at the animal shelter. See George holding the kitten? The director of the shelter was glad to see them. It was good of you to bring the kitten here, she said. We will be happy to take care of her. See George giving the kitten to the vet? George gave the kitten to the director, and then he and the man with the yellow hat walked inside. Come in, the director said, but watch where you step. We have a large litter of puppies, and one has gotten out of his cage. We are still looking for him, so please be careful. She closed the door quickly behind them. So they have a little puppy running around somewhere. Okay, look at this picture. This is a great picture for setting. We can see where the story is taking place. George had never been to an animal shelter before. Animals of all kinds were being cared for here. George saw bunnies, cats, turtles, and guinea pigs. He even saw a snake. But he didn't see any puppies. George, I need to sign some papers, said the man with the yellow hat. Please stay here and don't be too curious. He doesn't want George to get into trouble, does he? Just as the man with the yellow hat left the room, George heard barking. Maybe it was the puppies, but where was it coming from? George was curious. He followed the barking noises. Make a prediction. What's he going to find? Ooh. and he found a room full of dogs. There were yellow dogs, spotted dogs, sleek dogs, fluffy dogs, and there were quiet dogs and yappy dogs, and even a dog without a tail. But where were the puppies? Then George saw little wagging tails, then another, and another. Do you think he found them? Once George saw the puppies, he could not take his eyes off of them. He had to pet one. Here was a puppy. The puppy liked George. George wanted to hold the puppy. Slowly, he opened the door. Did anyone tell him he could open that door? Was that a good choice or a bad choice? But before George could even reach the puppy, the mother dog pushed the door open and was off like a shot. George tried to close the door after her, but the puppies were too fast. There was nothing George could do. Oh no, look at them all racing out. Puppies were everywhere. Puppies hid under the desk. Puppies barked at the bunnies. One puppy played with a telephone cord and another climbed on top of a cage to watch the others get into mischief. Soon all the dogs were barking, the cats were meowing, and the bunnies rustled in the corner of their cage. Why do you think they rustled in the corner of their cage? Yeah, maybe they were scared. Oh my goodness, there's puppies everywhere. Oh no, cried the director as she and the man in the yellow hat rushed into the room. Now all the puppies are out. The man with the yellow hat helped the director gather up the puppies and put them safely back in their cage. Soon all the animals settled down and were quiet. Except for one, who was still barking. It was the mother dog. What was she barking at? There was nothing here but a door. Make a prediction. What do you think the mother dog is barking at? There must be something on the other side, thought George. He opened the door. What came out? Do you see the little guy? Let's see what's going to come out. There's the mother dog. Thought something was back there. It was the missing puppy. Everyone was happy to finally see the puppy. The director scooped him up and said, "George, you certainly caused a ruckus, but if you hadn't let the puppies out, we might still be searching for this little one." So that was the lost puppy. They found it. Then she gave the puppies and their mother a snack. "These puppies are now big enough to go live with their families who will take care of them," she said. "Do you want to take one home with you, George?" I bet we would want to take home a puppy, wouldn't you? I know I would. And George did. He picked a puppy and took a puppy home. Would you have picked a puppy and taken a puppy home? So this is a fun story, Curious George and the Puppies. And so we know we have some really great characters in this story. So think of a few characters. Who were some characters that were in this story? Can you think of some? We had George, the man in the yellow hat, and you also had the director of the animal shelter. And you could even say all those puppies were characters if you wanted to, couldn't you? And then in our story, we could think, what was the setting? Where were they at in this book? Where was the story taking place? Was it at somebody's house? Was it at a store? Were they in a park? Where were they at? What was the setting of this story? I bet you got it right. The setting was at the animal shelter, wasn't it? If you wanted to talk about the beginning of the story, the setting was a little different, wasn't it? In the beginning, they were just taking a walk. So maybe they were even at a park. It looks like it could have been a park. And then they found the kitten, and then they went to the animal shelter. So you could say there were two settings in this story, weren't there? Okay. Another thing you could think about with this story is what was the problem in this story? There was something that was kind of a problem. We found out about it in the very beginning when they first got to the shelter. What did the director tell the man in the yellow hat and Curious George what the little problem was they were having? Did you think of it? Yeah, they were missing a puppy. And there was one puppy. She said, "Oh, close the door. There's a puppy that we haven't been able to find." And so they did find that puppy, though, at the end of the story, didn't they? So we had a beginning. They were at the park and they found this little kitten that was lost. We had a middle. They took it to the shelter, and Curious George, just like Curious George, got into a little bit of trouble. And then we had an end. They found the puppy. And not only that, George got to pick a puppy to take home. So that was pretty special too. So I hope you enjoyed the story, Curious George and the Puppies. I did, and I liked reading with you. I hope you have a great day, boys and girls. Enjoy the sunshine.